Did you know there are 45 colors of the Posca 3M markers? 45 3M colors, that's the size of the tip from Posca. There are 69 total Posca marker colors, but for some reason they don't put all the colors in one size. Some are in the 1MR, some are in the 3M, 5M, and some of them are only in this like really big 8K size. So it just really depends what color you're looking for and what it comes in. These are all the colors. We're going to go through, we're going to swatch them. There were 5 colors that I didn't already have that they might have on the chart, like that they might have introduced to the 3M size. Coral pink, lavender, apricot, sunshine yellow, and aqua green. The 3M markers are really nice because they're really good for detail work. They're not too big and they're not too small. The 1MR are really good for writing, and the 5M are really good for filling in surfaces. And the 3M bridge that gap between the two. I've done the 5M in a separate video. This is a 3M marker from Posca. Let me show you the tip. So the tip is a little bit smaller than the 5M. So this is the 5M, and then this is the 3M. The thing with the 3M is it can be used for more detailed work, whereas this one, it's harder to get as much detail, especially if you're writing like words. But it's really good for filling in surfaces. So if I try to do that one with a bigger one, the bigger tip, see how it's just a little bit heavier, like one's bold and one's not bold. The glitter markers only come in the 3M marker size. They don't come in any other size. So if you want any glitter markers from Posca, which they're pretty cool, you have to get them in this set. Okay, we're gonna look at the difference between the tips. This one's a light blue and a blue, so the caps are slightly different. You see there's a bunch of sparkliness in the actual cap. And then you'll notice the tip. So this one is more of like spongy, and then this one is not as much. Like it comes to a point. So I feel like this one's a little bit smaller than this one is. You'll notice that this one is not primed. So what you have to do to get it primed, the instructions are here on the side. I will show you this real fast. So it has the color in 5 different languages. It has the color number, and then it has the size PC3M bullet shaped, and then 0.9 to 1.3 millimeters. And then it has these instructions. So you shake it first, then you press it down, and then you can write with it. And then you need to make sure that you put the cap on, or otherwise it'll dry out. So you shake it like this. And then what I like to do is I like to come over here and just push it down like this. And you'll see that it's starting to come down. You can do it back and forth, but I find it just flows. And voila! It's working. And this is what it looks like when it's primed. So I'm going to go through and get all of these primed before I do the swatch chart. Posca markers can draw on virtually any surface. On glass, wood, fabric. You can even write on yourself. My daughter did that for like spirit days at school. She would just find a Posca marker because there's so many colors available and do the school colors. And then at the end of the day, she could wash it off. You can write on photos. You can do planners. I really like to do planners with these because it does take a little bit longer to dry, but the bleed through is not very bad. They'll stay on porous surfaces better than non-porous surface. So what's the difference? Glass is a non-porous surface. So that means like water, you can't absorb water into it. But wood is a porous surface and it will absorb water, it'll absorb the paint. That's good news. If you draw on glass, you can just erase it because these are water soluble markers and they're water based, and so you can just wipe it off. But if you draw on wood, you'll have to sand it off because it will stay in the wood. My table here has been the victim of Posca markers, which I like because that means we're using things right down here, and this is the art table. One of the greatest things about these markers is they are UV resistant. What does that mean? That means if you put the markers in the window, it won't fade. And I have a video on this. A lot of markers are not UV resistant, including a lot of the alcohol markers. And it's disappointing for me because I have made pictures before and I put them out for like the postman to see when they were delivering packages, and it faded over time. So if you want markers that will stay around and be UV resistant, you can use these markers and they'll do great. Another great thing about these markers is that they are layerable and blendable. So you can draw over things and you can blend them together. The tip on these is also replaceable. I found this out the hard way because I was activating some of these and one of the tips came out and I was like, oops, what happened? But they are replaceable, and so that is really good. So if you use the marker and you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't feel like this tip is doing very well anymore, then you can replace it. But honestly here, if I'm using a marker enough that the tip wears out, I'm probably out of ink before that, because these markers get used a lot in my house. And we run out of ink sometimes, like the white or the black, and or the blue or the red, and I have to go buy them. Which brings me to another good point, is that you can buy the markers individually, which is amazing, because some markers you can't, and so you can replace. Like if you use a certain color all the time, you can replace it. I bought this set, all 45, on Posca's website. It was sold out the last time I saw it, but you can go onto Blick's website and you can find them there, and you can find all the colors. You can buy them individually, or you can pick and match and make sure that you get all the colors. And because you have this chart that I have, you can know all the colors that you need to get. Here's the swatch chart that we're going to be filling out with all of the different colors. You can get this swatch chart in the link below. It will give you all the sizes, and I might make it just so you can buy the specific one for the marker size that you're wanting on the website also. I will update that and let you guys know when that happens. All of the markers have been activated now, so now we're ready to get started on this. The first one is going to be light pink up here in the corner. So these are a little bit smaller than the 5M that I said. Really good for detail work. Not as good as the 1MR, but now we're going to go through all the Posca markers really fast. And I'm doing this because I know that not everybody wants to see the full markers, and maybe you just want to see the colors and you want to see the colors pretty fast. You still want to see them swatched, but you might not want to see like real time and do it with me. So if you want to follow along, I will have this in my membership area, and you can swatch them with me as I follow along if you want to check that one out. That'll be available next month. I'm going to put this one and some of the Durant ones in there as soon as I get time to edit those videos for you guys. So we're going through these. This paper is not my absolute best favorite for Posca markers because it's not as, you really kind of want a rough kind of paper that's going to soak up all of this. Like I don't really like smooth paper per se. For Posca markers, I like the mixed media because it kind of picks up all of the marker and it doesn't fray as much. It's not as, it's a little bit more tough, I guess you would say. And so I really wanted to be able to print them out, and that paper won't print out in my printer. And so that's why I'm using this paper. But at least I get an idea of what all the colors are, because that's super important to me. And I want to be able to see what they look like. So this ivory, it doesn't look super ivory on here. It's interesting. It looks more yellow to me. And then here we have khaki green. So we've gone through like a lot of the pinks and oranges besides the glitter so far, and the yellows. We're kind of making our way to the greens right now. Emerald green. We have apple green. You'll notice that all these colors are super vibrant. Posca does a really good job with that, and they come out super easy. I'm super impressed. I feel like Posca markers are definitely the gold standard with markers, and you can see though that's one of the drawbacks with Posca markers is that they do smudge, but you can fix that. So the apple green got smudged too. So you do have to wait for them to dry, but they are super light fast. So you can put these up in your window in your house and they won't fade, which is not the case with a ton of markers, especially alcohol markers. They will fade. So Posca markers you can use and put on paper and put it anywhere in your house, and you don't have to apply special fixatives and such, because they do have that paint in them that is light fast, which is amazing, which Oh, and then glitter yellow's next. I've put things up and had them fade, and it was very, very disappointed. Next we have glitter pink, and the paper did not like glitter pink. I think the glitters are made out of a different formulation than the regular markers just because they have the glitter in them. So I don't think they stay together as well, and we'll really see that on the black paper. We have glitter light blue, and we have glitter blue next, and then glitter violet. That one is pretty, I love it. And then we have glitter green. So we're filling in all the glitters now. Our chart is almost complete. Bronze here. I think that was even a different formulation. The gold and the bronze are different than the glitter ones. I think it's more like of a metallic sheen, especially that silver, than the glitter. And then we have slate gray. So we have, I think, yeah, about 2 grays that come in this pack. I think there's one more available in the Posca realm, but it's not in this size. And then brown is our last one here. We are gonna write with these on black paper. So I'm gonna go through these ones pretty quickly too. And you'll first notice that this glitter light pink is not super opaque on the paper. So I shook it up, like I said before, that these kind of separate a little bit. So I just shook it up and activated it, and it seems to be a lot better. The other ones aren't the same. Oh, look, there's my tip. It will pull out and you can replace it. The paper does pick up the tip does pick up a little bit of the paper, so I have to take it off from time to time. But these ones are super opaque. It doesn't look like they separate as much as the glitter, but all the glitters, so if you're using the glitters, make sure that you shake them up. And you'll notice with the glitters that they don't dry the same as they go down. So you'll notice the middle of that red dot looks a lot different than the writing with glitter red. So they dry not as red, like not as deep. They are more opaque when they go on the paper. So they're bronze, like they turn like more white or like pastel-y when they dry. They kind of have that sheen, like they have the wet sheen, and then when they dry, you can see that they don't look as that sheen as much. So then light orange, and now you'll start to notice that some of these lighter colors, they don't look the same as they did on the white paper. Especially coming up is ivory, and this one does not look as yellow as it did before. You can barely tell the difference between beige and ivory right here, whereas on the other paper you could really tell the difference. So the colors will change when they go on black paper, just so you know. That's why it's important to do the swatches on both the black and the white paper, so you can see the difference between the two. And you'll, especially there, I talked about how they have a different formulation for the gold and the glitter ones. You can see definitely right there that one's more metallic sheen, and the glitter is more of like just like glittery. Next is green. Now we have apple green. I love that one, it's so pretty. And then light green. Most of these colors, emerald green, are showing up really well on black paper. I'll say there's like maybe 2 that don't. Aqua green, and what was the pencils that we have checked out. I can't remember especially what those pencils were. I did them recently, but a lot of them turned out well on black paper, but they weren't advertised for black paper, which was interesting. But definitely Posca markers can be used on black paper, and I would highly recommend it. You can do some really fun artwork with Posca markers on black paper. So now we're getting to the blues. We're at blue. So navy is definitely darker. That's one that does not show up as well on black paper. We have lilac, another glitter violet, and then I think we're gonna have violet next. Almost done with all our colors. We have lavender, which looks really pink on this paper. We have slate gray, which almost looks blue, and then this one looks like almost whitish, which it looked darker on the white paper. We have silver, dark brown, and then brown does dry a lot darker. Then we have brown and then black, and then our last one is going to be white on this paper. Here are all the colors for the 3M Posca marker bullet tip, and they came out pretty good. So I was going to show you how to kind of fix something like this if you ever get a marker accidentally somewhere else. You can kind of fix it with the white so it doesn't appear. So that's kind of a cool trick. I mean, it's still there, but not as bad. So 45 colors, that's amazing. I feel like this is a great palette. I feel like there's a lot of fun colors in here. And then here are all the colors on black. So you'll notice that they do show up a tad different than they do on this paper. And like the khaki green, you can't really see it all. It's this pretty dark color. And the glitters, I had to really shake them up. The pigment got separated from the glitter, so you have to make sure that you get those two together. Otherwise you'll get a ton of glitter and you won't get any color. And then some of these, like this light orange, looks a lot more orangey on here, but it's almost like white. And same with like the beige and the beige and the ivory. They almost look the same on here, but they are distinctly different colors on here. So they do appear different on black paper. And I wanted to show you also, so I put the Posca 5M right next to it. I put PC5M. But you can see how much thicker these lines are than these lines. The colors are very similar. There are more colors available in these, I believe, but you don't get the glitter that you get in these. So it'd be interesting to kind of compare. So I think you don't get raspberry, ruby red. Looks like not dark red. I thought we had dark red. Uh-oh. I missed dark red on here, guys. So I have to add it to the bottom over here. That stinks. Okay. So you don't get powder pink or satin pink. Ochre, straw yellow, English green, Prussian blue, deep gray, chestnut brown. So you don't get a lot of these colors. These are, they added some portrait colors like chestnut, cocoa brown. You don't get any of the metallics. You do get gold and bronze and silver though, and then you don't get any of the fluorescence. But then over here on this side, I feel like most of the colors are similar. Like I don't think you get any over here that you don't get over here. There is a khaki. It didn't come in my bag. I had to order it separate. So it's supposed to come with all the colors, but it didn't. So I have to add khaki to this page. But let's see what else. I feel like all the colors that come in here, but you get more colors in here besides the glitter. And then this was the 1MR, so you can see how thin this one is. And you get glacier blue in here that you can't get other places, but that's the only one that you can't get in other colors. So what do you guys think? Do you guys like the Posca 3M markers? I think they're great. They're great for lettering. They're great for doing detail work also. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.